Emerson Andrew,
I see.
better known as Emmy Andrew.
Emmy Andrew. And where do you live, Emmy?
At the present time, I lived over by the Central School
I see, on Route 22.
on Route 22.
All right, would you tell us a little about, before you went into the service, a little about your life in Hoosick Falls?
Well, I played an awful lot of football in my time, even before I went to high school. In fact, we had a team here that were all we were 15 or 14 years old. The Alligators. We played Hoosick School and all around.
Yeah.
And
Bill Coonrod was on
yeah,
the team.
Bill
He talked
Coonrod.
about it when he
Did
was
he?
here. Yeah.
Okay, and there was an awful lot of us on it, and we had a great time.
Where did you live when you
Church Street.
You lived on Church Street.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Then where'd you go to school? Yeah.
I went to Center Street School, which has been torn down now. It's where the American Legion is today.
Yeah. Right.
Then I went to the high school down here, and in fact, I was a class officer in my freshman year, which was very gratifying at that time. And the war come along, Pearl Harbor, and everybody, most of the guys my age, were getting out of school and enlisting, which I did. In fact, I had to have my mother sign for me. I was only 17.
I see.
But the first couple of weeks when I was in boot camp, I was sorry she did sign for me. But as time went on, because we're all about the same age in the service. We're all 17 and 18 years old, most of us, 95% of us. So our wants were all the same. From there, I went to gunner's mate school in Newport, Rhode Island. Magruder's Navy, they call it, because he run a ship aground in Pearl Harbor. And he transferred him to there. He was the head of the gunnery school in Newport, Rhode Island. And from there, I went to San Pedro, California, and my ship was commissioned there. In fact, it was commissioned on my birthday.
What was the name of the ship?
USS Weaver.
Weaver.
Yeah, it was commissioned on my birthday, which was something out of the ordinary. In fact, at the time, I hardly realized it. But from there, then we set...
What kind of a ship was it?
It was a destroyer escort. In fact, they have a sister ship of it now in Albany, New York, the USS Slater. In fact, I was down there, our Weaver reunion was held in Albany 6 weeks ago. And due to the fact that I was local, I was more or less controlling the reins, so to speak. But we had a great time. And there were 60 of us there, and their wives. And we go every year. This is our 13th consecutive year that we've had reunions. Next year it's in Tennessee. It's been all over the country. We've had great times.
All right. Now you were on the Weaver, and where'd you ship out of?
St. Pedro.
St. Pedro.
Yeah. Shipped out of there, and we went to Hawaii. I saw the ships that got sunk in Pearl Harbor. The USS Arizona was still there, and it still is, to my knowledge.
It is.
And from there we went to Marshall Islands, Eniwetok, Guam, Saipan, Tinian, all the islands. In fact, we were in the Philippines when they got word that they dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, I believe the first one. It was Nagasaki the second.
Yeah, I think so.
And of course, I say, we were so young that we didn't pay much attention. We weren't afraid of nothing.
Yeah, didn't know any better.
That's right. Yeah, you hit that right on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we went through the largest typhoon that's ever been recorded in U.S. naval history at that time. That was off the coast of the Philippines. And we went through it, and 3 destroyers got sunk in that. Went down with all losses of life, except one guy got off. And in fact, there was another local guy by the name of Bill McMartin. he was on a tanker ahead of us. And nobody knew the name of that ship until I was talking to him when I come home. Then we conversed, and it was his ship. And we were in Japan 2 weeks before
Well,
the
let's
war
go back
was
a
over.
little, all right,
Okay.
and I'll talk to you,
All
because I just finished reading a book on the Bellawood aircraft carrier, and Norm Scott was on that.
Okay, yes, he was.
Yeah. That's what you did, was destroyer, escort of carrier, anything that they,
Big, yeah.
yeah, and during all the bombardments and all the landings that had
Yeah.
in the Gilbert, the Marshalls, and so forth.
Yeah.
That was your job.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of Japanese suicide missions on destroyer escorts.
Yeah, right.
Bill Thurber, I believe his ship was struck by a kamikaze.
Yeah, the Bellawood was also.
Yeah.
And how about your ship? Your ship was lucky and
We
went
were
through all
lucky.
that?
We were lucky. I guess we got credited for sinking a couple of submarines, but we were lucky as far as one man jumped over the side, or he come up missing, and they figured he was so despondent that he jumped over the side. That's what everybody figured,
I see.
because he was well liked. But that was about. But it was and I never happened to see a lady or a woman for 2 years. First one I saw was Japan. I was in Japan.
All right, now, I cut you off, but you were saying you were on your way to Japan 2 weeks after the bomb, or was that?
After the atomic bomb.
Yeah, 2 weeks
And
after
we
that.
went into Sendai, Japan, after prisoner of war that was in the Bataan Death March, American prisoners of war. That was where they were held prisoner. We went in after them and took a hospital ship down in after it. We escorted the hospital ship, and that was 2 weeks before the peace was signed. And in fact, there was a guy come aboard our ship, someone that could walk, and we got talking. A guy from Bennington.
Huh.
His name was Levine, but I tried to find him after, and nobody ever heard of him. So I don't know.
I see.
But and so we had liberty in Japan. It was 2 weeks before the war was over, and some of the Japanese people were very nice to us. You'd be walking down the street, and way down below, far away in the distance, you'd see probably 1,000 people. You got down there, and there's nobody there on back yet. So our hearts sort of jumped up and down, you know.
Yeah, sure.
So and then we went in the Japanese house at the souvenirs and stuff. In fact, I had an opium pipe. I never knew what it was. I never knew until 40 years later. Never knew what it was.
I see.
In fact, then I got a couple of Japanese pictures of Japanese girls,
Yeah.
and they had a horse show right across from where I live on the River Road one time, and Lockrow married a Japanese girl.
Right.
She was from Japan, so I got talking to her. She says, "Oh yes, I'm from Sendai." I says, "You're what?" "From Sendai, Japan." So I said, "Wait a minute." So I ran home and got these two pictures, and she knew one of the girls.
What a coincidence.
Yeah,
What a coincidence.
yeah.
All right,
So-
so you went into Japan, and they signed the armistice. What was it, in September? I don't know.
September 2nd,
Yeah, they signed the
1945.
armistice.
But prior to that, we had Ernie Pyle, the famous writer.
Yeah.
He come aboard our ship. In fact, I got pictures of him home on our ship. He was on there about 3 weeks before he got killed. So he got killed. And another guy, Stassen, Harold Stassen.
Yeah,
He
was a politician.
Yeah, he was a nominee, or thought he was a nominee for president. I think he was from Minnesota. I don't.
Yeah,
I believe
I
you.
know who you're talking about.
And that's about. But
All right, so you went into Japan there, and you guided this hospital ship in to get the men from
Yeah.
Bataan.
yeah.
All right, then what happened?
Then we had a Japanese sub that come up out of the water, and was twice as long as our ship. You know, and they surrendered to us.
Oh, yeah?
So being so young, we hardly know how to cope with that.
Yeah.
It was long on both ends, you know.
Yeah.
So, but Other than that, we had a great time, but I do think at that age, you don't have no fear.
And how long were you overseas at a steady, in a time frame?
22 months without
22 months,
without
because-
no leave. Without
Yeah.
no leave.
I see,
So
because,
when I come back,
yeah,
the skipper on our ship, got talking to him. I got 10 days leave out of Green Cove Springs to come home for a 10-day leave. And when I went back, I got talking to him. He says, "Where are you from?" I told him. He says, "Hey, I went to school with a guy, my neighbor right next door. I went to college with him too. He's the principal up there, Marvin Lovey's."
oh, really? Great,
So I couldn't get over that.
yeah.
So I says, just kidding with him. I said, "Well, how about another 5 days? Go home and tell him." He says, "You got it."
Well, so that was the end of the war, so you were,
Yeah.
then they shipped you,
I got out 20 days before I was supposed to.
I see. But you got out, where did they discharge you from?
Green Cove Springs, Florida.
Florida.
Yeah.
All right. Then you came, that was the end of your service,
the
you
end.
came back home.
Yeah.
All right, and tell us a little about your life after you came home.
Well, I went to, everybody had that 5220 club.
Yeah.
For, you know, you get $20 a week. What's $20 a week, you know?
Well, in those days it was a lot
Well,
better
I
than it is
suppose.
now.
So anyways, I met my darling of my dreams over in Hoosick, and we got married. And,
What was your wife's maiden name?
Esther Fleming.
Fleming. I see.
Yeah, Esther Fleming. And in fact, her family goes way back to the Revolutionary War time. In fact, her great-granddaddy is sitting on the monument up there, Colonel Seth Warner.
Oh, yeah, it was a great,
Yeah.
oh, it's in that
Yeah.
family. I
Yeah.
see.
So, well, anyways, then the kids started coming. We have 5 children, and they're all grown up, and their wings are all gone, I guess.
You
One's
don't
in
have anybody
Florida.
in town left? Or
Donna's up on Johnson Hill.
I see.
The rest are all, one's in Rotterdam, one's in Manhattan, and one's in Minnesota. And Tina's gonna be up. Tina went to school with your daughter.
Yes, right.
They're building a house up in Petersburg,
Oh, great.
and she's gonna move up in June, I guess.
It's the story of most of the veterans I've talked about. They all had 5, 6 children, and
Yeah.
only 1 or 2 are left in
The
town.
rest are gone.
And the rest are all, because they all made their own life for
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah, which is good.
Yeah, right.
You know,
No, it's good. They all done well because they had a
Now
good
your
way to
daughter's
judge.
still in Bennington, isn't she?
Yeah, right. Yes, she works in
What was your
Bennington.
first name?
What? Now, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the service, about Hoosick Falls, anything you'd like to tell us before we call this interview a take?
Well, as it turned out, of course, I come home alive and all that. I think the service was a great experience. Because I have guys from all over the country come visit me, and I go there, you know,
Yeah.
and we have great times.
But you were 17, 18 years old, so
Yeah.
you grew up. You had
I
to
grew
grow
up in there, really.
Yeah. And 22 months on the sea, because a lot of the sea action is monotony, because all you do is riding.
Yeah, yeah.
And, I mean,
yeah.
it's different when you're escorting and there's
Well, I did have
battles going on, but when there isn't, it's pretty monotonous.
I did have one thing happen to me that I was sorry I volunteered for, but as it turned out all right. That big typhoon I was telling you about,
Yeah.
their dip charges come loose on the back, and that was my gunnery, that was my station.
I see.
I was in charge of the fantail because I was a gunner's mate. Had the phones on, and the depth charges come loose. So the chief, he says, "We've got to have some volunteers to go out and get them depth charges and tie them down." Well, they were rolling around and raised my hand. Well, 4 or 5 other guys did.
Yeah, sure.
But in fact, I wasn't the first one, but they did, so I said, "Well, I will." But then that got out there. Boy, I tell you, I was sorry. So I never volunteered for nothing after that.
Yeah, what you do, tie down the death charge so they wouldn't explode.
Yeah, so they wouldn't. Yeah.
Because they could explode coming back and forth like that.
Because some of them are set for 50 feet, and they explode.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Hey, thanks a lot for coming. We greatly
Okay.
appreciate it. Let me
All right.
get this thing off, and then